Welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire.
What does asbestos management mean to you?
I used to really struggle with the asbestos management at my site, but now it's a breeze.
It used to be really expensive. I was paying loads, but now I've got my asbestos power team in place. It's so much easier.
Asbestos can be a pain in the arse if not handled right.
We had to stop the job because asbestos was discovered. Now we don't have that problem.
Asbestos management is easier than you think. Asbestos management. Be proactive, not reactive. Think about asbestos first, not last.
And now your hosts, best-selling authors and asbestos experts, Ian Stone and Neil Munro.
Hi, welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire. I'm Ian Stone.
And I'm Neil Munro.
So today, a bit of a strange one, a bit of a different one to what we usually do. We're not talking about a subject overall. I'm not interviewing somebody who's not from the industry or an industry person. I'm going to interview Neil Munro. So we'll start at the beginning. Tell me about yourself and what you've done in the industry over the years, kind of the overall flavour.
Yeah, okay. So pretty much like most people, I think, that come into this industry, I had no knowledge about asbestos. So sort of fell into it. I saw an advert in the local paper. I was working at a credit card head office, one of the banks. That was 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I got an hour for lunch, 15-minute breaks in the morning and afternoon. So I was like working 6.5 hours a day.
So why did you want to leave that?
But it was just so boring. Because previously, before that, I came from a catering background. So I worked for Pizza Hut, where I was a manager there. That was kind of where I'd come from, really. My background was working in catering, so
it's quite fast-paced.
Shift work.
Yeah.
Sort of like mornings, early mornings, late nights, sometimes some long days, really fast-paced, really hard sort of work.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend, like, with my children, if you can cope within that environment and you can get on in that environment, you can pretty much do anything. It is really hard work, and that kind of gave me a good grounding. So when I went to the office job, I was a bit like, this is just too boring. It's just too boring. So I didn't want to go back to the catering, because the reason I left that was the unsocialness for it. Like, my partner at the time was on like normal work hours, and I was not
horrible shift
hours.
work.
Yeah.
Your weekend would have been midweek, and your friends would have been at weekends.
Exactly that. And you can never plan anything because your rotas and stuff like that. So it was that was the reason why I left that. And then I was bored with the office job, and I was looking for something else. And I saw this advert for trainee asbestos consultant, and the thing that attracted me was you got a company van.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, wow, yeah, your own company van. That's kind of what attracted me. But at that time, I didn't even know what asbestos was. I'd never even heard of it. So that was quite an eye-opener.
So you were like completely blind.
Yeah.
When you came into the industry.
What is that? I don't even know what it is. Even going to the interview, I didn't really know. I'd obviously tried to research it. I still didn't get my head around
exactly what it is.
Yeah. I knew it was like building materials or something like that. So I was greener than green.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So I got a job, and really it was at a time when this company, and I think it was kind of across the industry where, this is going back sort of 16, 17 years ago, where you did everything. A consultant you pretty much did everything in and around the asbestos consultancy. So I just remember sort of hitting the ground running I was out seconding on surveys. I was training to be a bulk analyst at the same time. So in the lab, analysing samples. That was kind of where I spent quite a lot of time. And fibre counting as well. So the analytical side. And I remember I got signed off for bulks, analysing asbestos samples first. That was within 3 months, which hadn't been done in this particular company before. So when I sort of hit that, I was like, okay, I think I can get on, because I did start with other people, and I, coming from my background, I haven't got a degree or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the people that I started with at the same time all had environmental degrees. They had kind of a bit of a background on this,
geology degrees, environmental science,
side of it. And I did it. It was quite a lot to take in. I was like, am I going to get on with this? But that was a real push on me, for me beating them. On getting signed off on that. That sort of spurred me on into thinking, well, I think I can get on with this. It was a good start, learning to do asbestos surveys, project managing asbestos removal works. That was a big eye-opener, sort of managing contractors on site. And at that time, we were deemed as a supervisor. So we were working under a supervisory licence at the time, which has changed from now, where we were kind of managing the actual removal projects and also doing the air monitoring and 4-stage clearances. So
Big responsibility.
Big responsibility, yeah. And it was at a time where contractors, I think, have definitely improved since those days.
I
know
agree. Yeah.
We're talking sort of 15, 17 years ago, and I know it doesn't sound long, but really the difference in actual physical people on the ground doing asbestos removal has definitely come on leaps and bounds, isn't it? It's kind of like I don't know, back then it was more of a, people didn't really want to do that job, whereas some of the people that we see today, it's kind of a career for them.
It is a career, yeah. No, I think that's a big point. I think people just did the job because they fell into it or they knew other people that did it.
Yeah.
Whereas now people actually actively go, do you know what? No, I want to work in asbestos, whether it's on the consultancy or the removal side.
Yeah.
Because the industry's grown as well.
It definitely has, yeah. So, managing those types of people, whereas you do have to have a bit about you. There was fun and games where they would always try and sort of pull the wool over your eyes or play games with you for whatever reason. I've never quite understood why you would want to, one, upset us, two, create issues, because at the end of the day, the job didn't get signed off unless we said so. So
taking parts of your microscope.
Yeah, all those games. So that was back in the day.
How did you progress then?
Had a real good insight into all elements. So at that time, we were doing asbestos surveys, project management, analysing bulk samples, and then obviously doing the reporting as well. So writing reports, issuing reports based on what we'd done. That gave me a real good sort of grounding, be able to do pretty much everything in the asbestos industry.
Yeah.
So from there, it sort of progressed. So started being responsible for my own clients, managing those, and that's where it sort of developed in sort of a contracts manager role.
Yeah,
I had a good bit of success on there. So I actually, one of the clients that I had, this particular company, actually recognised my ability and what I'd done for them, and an award for basically helping them get asbestos compliant.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it was a big retail chain.
I mean, that's amazing, getting an actual award for helping a client with their asbestos issues.
Yes.
I mean, what did you help them with? Did you take it from like zero to everything? Or?
Well, the particular client came to company because they weren't satisfied with their current supplier.
Yeah,
it was basically they had a big issue about managing their projects. So as you can imagine, retail they can't afford to have downtime with regards to refurb works, and asbestos was a big issue for them at the time because it wasn't being identified correctly and therefore causing unplanned delays.
Yeah,
and every extra minute that they're not trading they're losing money.
Cash is king, and
exactly.
And being open.
That was a big thing for them. So it was initially getting that process sorted and ironed out, so there weren't any delays, and then it was going back and sort of working on the management side, so getting them compliant and up to date and getting their management plan, re-inspections, etc. all sorted. So getting all that in a short time scale that they sort of recognised. And
fair play. What was it like? Was it they just sent you a letter, or
no? It was an actual. They had annual contract award ceremonies.
Right. Okay. So it was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a bumper up.
It wasn't just a have a letter to say thanks.
No. It was
up on stage. Did you get a little trophy?
Little trophy, certificate, and I think I got some vouchers. I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but to be recognised by a client for something, it was amazing. That was definitely a high point. So when I'm from contracts manager, I then left and I went to another consultancy for a short spell. And then I went to a removal contractor with a UCAS surveying department, and I was a director there, operations director, and helped them build it from, just a couple of people up to good sort of 20, 25 people. And at that point, I thought maybe I could probably do this for myself. So I sort of left there, and here we are at Acorn.
Yeah.
So, that's just a brief overview of my career. So within that, just to bolt on, moving on from the contracts, I've done quite a lot of training for individuals and businesses, and basically just trying to promote the awareness about asbestos and the dangers of it, and trying to keep people safe, which is hence something to do with this as well.
Yeah, no, very good. So, I mean, normally we would ask a client or the interviewee, why do you want to talk about asbestos? It's obviously completely different with you. But around that, I want to ask you, I mean, it is still a taboo subject. Why do you think it's taboo? Do you think it should be? What's your take on it?
Yeah, so it is a taboo subject. I think the taboo-ness comes from people having a lack of understanding, and because of that lack of understanding, they don't know whether they're compliant or not. And that's why people are scared to talk about it, because it's talking about the unknown and are they right and are they compliant.
Yeah.
But I think, from my experience, people who are compliant or have got some knowledge about it don't mind talking about it. I think the taboo-ness comes from lack of knowledge, which is hence, I'm quite passionate about trying to spread the word of, because if we're thinking about asbestos first before anything, I know it's our strapline, it really does make a big difference to any project, to managing asbestos, keeping people safe. And that's what the asbestos regulations are all about, is basically preventing people being exposed to asbestos fibre.
Yeah, that's my kind of take on it as well. Yeah, definitely. So getting into kind of the nuts and bolts and things that you've seen and done over the years, what's the worst thing you've seen?
The worst thing that I have seen? I've seen some pretty poor asbestos removal works over the years, where you go in, particularly around boiler rooms and stuff like that, like contractors damaging stuff. So, putting hammers through tiles, running cables through ceiling void.
So normal kind of electrical contractors, cabling contractors, that kind of stuff.
Drilling through, smashing holes in asbestos insulating board, and you see the brand new cables, running through them.
Yeah.
I've seen some pretty horrible spray coatings over the years. I remember one particular site where there was a spray coating that had been applied to the structural beams and columns throughout the whole property, and the client at the time was of the understanding that it had all been removed.
Wow.
And it was only a point when we came in to do the survey that, it had been removed from sections of the actual steels themselves, but the asbestos spray coating was within the wall cavities.
Yeah.
It was even underneath the carpet. Literally the carpet tiles, pulling them up, and they're spray coating debris underneath those carpet tiles.
And they thought they were safe. They thought everything was gone.
They thought everything was gone.
That's crazy.
Because they'd moved it from the actual steel columns and beams within, that you could see
sections,
but it was still hidden within the actual fabric of the building. It was actually even underneath the carpet tiles, which was like, it just really blew my mind. You lift up a carpet tile and you've got spray debris underneath there. So what ended up was that whole property had to be completely stripped back to the steel frame. There's nothing else left. Steel frame and concrete floor. So that's probably the worst, extensive removal. Literally the building was stripped back to nothing. And we found bits, everywhere. And that is the danger with spray coatings. It does go everywhere. And people, like this client, was aware of it on the actual, where it was supposed to be, on the steels. It's okay, we sorted those bits, but what they weren't aware was
it was everywhere else.
It was everywhere, literally everywhere. So that's probably the worst scenario that I've seen.
I mean, that's a bit of a strange one in itself, but that kind of leads me on to what's the kind of strangest or weirdest bit of asbestos that you've seen?
Yeah, not particularly strange, but when I first started in the industry and doing asbestos surveys, the one that always sort of blew my mind at the beginning was asbestos mastic pads on the underside of sinks.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
When somebody said to me, if you check the mastic pad, I was like, mastic pad? I don't even know what is a mastic pad underneath the sink. It's obviously common knowledge now, and just checking under the sink and you see this black bitumen-y mastic thing on the underside of it, and that contained asbestos.
That's very true.
And it's how many sinks over the years have I actually gone underneath, looked at, and never even noticed this black bitumen pad for starters, but who knew it would contain asbestos?
Yeah, that is a good one. I mean, in the industry now, there's a bit of a joke about, surveyors always sample the mastic pads, whatever, because there's usually one there. But when you're not from the industry, I suppose you're right, because I never thought about mastic pads until I was in the industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But obviously I've seen lots of strange things from toys with asbestos in it, manufactured items. Ironing boards was another one. It's a bit that was very common to have asbestos on an ironing board. But looking back, asbestos
surprising things.
Some weird and wonderful things like irons and stuff like that. I like to see it. They excite me now. Do you know what I mean? You get the weird and wonderful things that the surveyors come back and go, "Have you ever seen this before?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." And I've been doing it 17 years. They always fascinate me.
Nice. So what's kind of the either asbestos-wise or asbestos management-wise, job-wise, contracts-wise, what's kind of the best thing that stuck out in your mind where you thought, wow, this is a good bit of work or something like that? I don't know.
With asbestos, it's hard. So if you employ a builder and they come and they build you an extension or something like that, the builder can look back and go, yes, that's a good extension. You get an end product, don't you? A lot of the times with asbestos, especially asbestos removal, we're taking stuff away and it ends up that you've got nothing there and it looks horrible.
It looks worse than before
and
we
it looks
started.
worse before it started. And it's hard to sort of get excited around those. But the jobs that I particularly like is where we're remediating. So, for instance, boiler or plant rooms.
Okay.
Where you've got asbestos pipe lagging, insulation on the pipes, maybe residue on the walls, you know, the historically typical asbestos boiler room, where you take that from looking horrible.
Like a bad strip or something in the past.
Horrible and dangerous.
Yeah.
And the client can't afford to remove it all.
Yeah.
So we make it good, make it safe. Those are the jobs that I quite look, because you get an end product. So, you know, we take a boiler room looking old, dingy, flaking paint off the walls, all the pipe work's all ripped and horrible, and there's asbestos debris everywhere. And then we take it and we produce it safe, make it safe, so we encapsulate the walls, the pipes, you know, re-wrap and calico the pipe, completely seal those in, paint the ceilings, completely clean through the whole boiler room. We even go to the extent of painting the floors. So when you then step back and at the finished, you know, it looks like a brand new boiler room. They're the jobs that I like, where you can look back on it and go, right, we've done a really good job in it, and it looks mint and it looks lovely. Yeah. And everything's all compliant, and the client has got a safe,
like you say,
boiler room.
A lot of the time what we do, it's not about making something safe or getting rid of the asbestos is one thing, but it's not that often that we do those kind of jobs where we're actually doing something that should be presentable at the end. I can see that satisfaction, definitely.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes when we do surveys as well, what the client sees at the end of the day is the end product is the survey report. So we take great pride in producing a good, easy to use, colourful asbestos survey report that the client can easily use and extract the information that they need, rather than filling it with stuff that we might want or we might think is necessary as an industry.
As an industry, There was a period, wasn't there?
You just get pages and pages and pages of like caveats and gumph.
Yeah, that's a good word.
You don't need it. You don't need it. All the client wants is to know where my asbestos is, what you've done, what areas haven't you done, and can I find it on a plan, and where's my register? So, producing those end products is what I get excited about.
If you can, around asbestos.
Exactly.
But so this is the big question we always ask people that we interview. What does asbestos management mean to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. Asbestos management, it's about keeping people safe. That's I touched on earlier. The whole purpose of the asbestos regulation is to stop people dying from asbestos-related diseases. You know, it is still a big problem. You know, 5,000 people a year are dying from asbestos-related diseases. So it is still a common problem, and it's an issue today. So asbestos management is about getting that and preventing people basically dying from asbestos-related diseases. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be an afterthought. You know, as I said before, asbestos, you should be thinking about it in everything you do within buildings and properties, etc. It should be the first thing before you do anything. If we plan any works, always think about asbestos and how can that impact your job. And then it's taking the steps to manage that process, so identifying it. And then if you can then replan your works, that's probably the cheapest and probably the safest way to do it. But then it's taking those steps to maybe getting specialists in to help you either remove, remediate, or additional planning to rectify that.
Sure.
So that's probably, in a nutshell,
okay,
what it means to me.
So with that in mind, what you've just said, so what would you change? Whether it's regulations, industry?
Well, obviously there is kind of constant changes. There's been quite a few changes in my career. And we are still awaiting some new changes that are been on the cards for a long time with the new analyst guide. Hopefully I'm told that should be out this year. But what I would like to see is an area which kind of slips underneath the radar is within the domestic market.
Okay.
So currently asbestos is not on the agenda of all solicitors, estate agents, people buying houses, and I really do think that asbestos should be included within that. You have to have an energy certificate to sell your house.
Why? In 2019?
Yes.
Should you not have an asbestos report?
Exactly that. It's just like, okay, it's good that I get the knowledge that I might not have an energy efficient house, but what about the knowledge about am I buying a house with full of asbestos? That's in poor condition. So I'd like to, not necessarily regulation, but I'd like to see some improvement on the knowledge and the awareness around that being given by these professionals. Definitely from the solicitor side of it. If you're working on, we look at flood risks regarding the house. We look at all sorts of things as part of that process and due diligence about buying a house.
Contamination in fields or wherever near the property.
Whether you've got a governance by the local church on your house.
Yeah. If the tree at the end of your road's got a preservation order on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't look at something that can kill you.
Yes, but we don't look at, or it's not always mentioned about a potential deadly hazard that might be in that house.
It's ridiculous when you kind of lay it out there against those other things.
Yeah.
That are important.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, like you say, if your house isn't energy efficient, it's not going to kill you. But if you've got asbestos in your property, it is not in a good condition, well, you are going to get exposed.
Yeah, and particularly with the house buying process, if you're buying a new house, unless you're buying brand new off plan, chances are you're probably going to do something in that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Whether it's redecoration, renovation, and at that point, that's when, okay, if the asbestos is in a good condition, you're then at a greater risk of disturbing that because you're renovating the house. So, I think there's a big area there that's gone under the radar for a long, long time.
On that as well, just as a thought on that, as well as the health risk, it's also the monetary risk.
Yeah.
So you're looking at buying a property, and after you've purchased it, and then you can't get anybody to come and work on your property because, lo and behold, you've got asbestos everywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to incur massive costs. Yeah, exactly.
You bought a lemon,
as well.
basically.
Bought a lemon,
but that is obviously if you engage the right contractor, because as we know in the domestic market, again, that's another point where there are, say, sole traders, tradesmen that are not aware or sort of negligent of wanting to sort of mention the word asbestos of the fear of not winning a job, and are sort of taking a blind eye to it and potentially risking themselves and their employers at the end of the day.
So, I mean, that's some massive points there, definitely.
Yeah, so in and around domestic, I'd like a bit more focus. And again, also to add to that, HC haven't really ever run a campaign regarding the duty to manage. They spent money on the Hidden Killer, which was geared at tradespeople, which I get because they're at the forefront. They're at the most at risk of coming into contact with asbestos, so I do get that. But from a duty to manage point of view, we're still getting clients come to us that have no idea about their requirements under it.
Yeah.
And it's quite shocking still. That regulation has been in place for, since 2002 and enforcement 2014, and still today we're talking about it as a new thing.
I know, it's mad,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, 2004 to now is just a long, long time, and it's not enforced.
It's not public knowledge. Yeah, shocking. And there's more people die from asbestos-related diseases than they do on road traffic incidents. And if you compare the campaigns over the years that have educated people about road safety,
speed awareness and things like that, all funds that have been spent on that to reduce deaths. Yeah, and you compare that to asbestos, and it's minuscule.
Completely different, isn't it?
So, what's one bit of advice that you would give to anybody who is involved with asbestos, around asbestos? What's your number one bit of advice?
Kind of touched on it earlier. It's definitely always think about asbestos. The countless times that I can regale where people have been caught out, they've tried to did we need that survey? Well, we've had a survey done, but it's only this area. We haven't had that checked, but it'll be all right.
It'll be all right, chanced
It'll be
it.
all right. Yeah, it's always expect the unexpected with asbestos.
Yeah.
Because just the way it was used, it was so ad hoc, surprising, unusual places. Even surveys today, we're still finding stuff which we're thinking, why was that ever put there? So I don't think you can always think about asbestos first, expect the unexpected with it, get on top of it. That would be my advice.
Nice, good bit of advice. Well, I've really enjoyed this because it's not often we actually sit down and
talk about
it generally, gauge each other's opinion and all that sounds quite nice. So I've enjoyed that.
Hope that was useful for everyone.
Yeah, I hope everybody listening and watching found it useful. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Remember, asbestos first, not last. If you do want to join the Asbestos Knowledge Empire, go onto Facebook and search for the Asbestos Knowledge Empire group, and then we can help you further from there. That's it from today. Thank you. Cheers.